All right. Go live has been clicked. It says you're live. What's up?
What's happening out there?
What's up,
What's up, man?
everybody? How how are y'all doing in this tundra? Is anybody who else is in the tundra right now? Who else is dealing with the snow and the
I
thing?
know this. I'm telling you, at least if you here. That's
The snow and the
what
thing.
I want to know.
That's what
I'm
I want.
dealing with it by trying to get some grub in me right now.
I see you do it well, as they would say. You got the grub going in. Got the grub going in. Let's just make
Mhm.
sure everything is copacetic. Some of y'all out there checking out the video, make sure let us know. Make sure you let us know
You can see what you need to see.
if you're seeing
We're
us, if
getting
you're
it
hearing
done.
us. We got on here a little early just to make sure we work out any technical issues, but we also want to make sure that we connect with you guys, that we see y'all, and
Anybody wants to get on early?
yeah, we like say what's
I'm. At,
up,
I'm.
introduce yourselves, everything. Malfunction, what's up? Hey, so let me know, let us know if the video's good, if the audio's good right now. Um, give us a deal, man.
Functions in the house. I like it.
Malfunction in the house. Malfunction
I'm
is
getting on.
here.
I'm getting on this channel right now. They got something. Henry Lewis. He's got something else going on
I
here.
know, I know. There's something going on right before this show.
I know. I know. It's.
Um,
I think it's going back to your roots. Let's see
yeah,
what it's called here. Finding your roots.
yeah.
I'm telling you, if you need a host to do something on Black History, you
I'm
just call it
saying,
Henry
man,
Lewis
PB,
Gates Jr. Man,
he
they're
is
getting
all
it.
over the PBS, the
They don't
PBS
care.
sitch.
They don't care.
He is all on top of that, boy. Ryan, what's up, man? At least more people have power in DFW than me, bro. You ain't saying nothing but a word, man. We out here working it out without the power ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But we glad you.
Antwuan, how's your power situation?
My power situation is good at the moment. As I'm mooching off of somebody else's power. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even in my own house right now. That's what that Marcus is out here. Yeah, but I'm not in my. We out here together. I'm over here with Marcus. We in the same house right now, doing our thing. For those of y'all who don't know us, I guess we should introduce
Yeah,
ourselves.
that's right.
My name is Antwuan Malone. I am one of two hosts for the podcast Colored Commentary, which is part of a larger organization called Threaded that I am so excited to be a part of. And Marcus, who has a bunch of grub in his mouth right now, he's gonna have to
I'm
tell you.
finishing. I'm finishing. I was
He
trying to
going
get in. It's gonna be. We're gonna be here for a minute. You know
I
what I'm
needed a little more. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to do this more a couple times, so we might as well, get it in early.
saying? I know. No, I'm just trying to. I had to get some food in a brother. You know what I'm saying? Just because it's gonna be here for a minute. So
It's gonna be a
I
minute.
like it. But yeah, I'll introduce myself. My name is Marcus Lloyd. I get the pleasure of being the executive director of the organization Threaded. That's it's kind of the umbrella for colored commentary. So we're excited to be out here. Our first watch party,
Our very
which is
first.
exciting.
It's a lot of firsts tonight. It's our first watch party. We also just started a YouTube channel. Like literally, you guys who come in already, if you look at our YouTube channel, you'll see we got like 9 followers right now. So y'all are in at the beginning, at the
Beginning for
grassroots of this thing. And so obviously we want you guys to subscribe and we want to get that subscription level up. But we have been doing stuff in this space, bringing racial reconciliation, gospel concepts of racial reconciliation for quite some time. And so YouTube is new, but we are not. We've been in this conversation for a little
that's
bit,
right.
and we've got a lot to share on YouTube already, and more things to create and do.
Yeah,
So
yeah. We got a myriad of videos. Just trying to get the time to upload those things as we moved over to this YouTube channel. I'm excited. I love YouTube. I think it's a great medium for the stuff that we do. A lot of the stuff we have is a lot of like long form conversation, things that are developing over time.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I think just YouTube's a great space for that to be able to kind of sit down. People come in like we're doing right now, and we're watching long form stuff. We've got long uh, videos with some great speakers around the nation via color commentary. We've got the podcast, obviously, you can get on iTunes, and Spotify. I can't remember where we at now, episode wise. We're like at
60, 50 is in
60?
the 50s.
I can't
They're in.
remember.
We're in season 3, so
Right.
we're in our 3rd season with podcast, which is pretty much year 3. And yeah, man, it's legit. So that's who we are. We'll probably share a little bit more of that as we get closer to our time. But we do want to try to. One of the reasons we wanted to get on early was to get introductions done, because we want the show to be kind of about the show, you know.
Right. Don't want to get too much time spent on what we got going on. Although I'm sure that could be interesting as well.
I feel like it could be. I mean, if you hear, then that means you care about Jesus. You care about African Americans and the role that they play and what God is doing. And we do too, not just African Americans. For us, we care about all the entire church, but certainly in our context, as we're in Black History Month, we are celebrating the aspect of the church that God has used and made a difference within our context in America through the Black church. And really, it's an amazing story. I haven't seen this thing, but I am hoping that it really does a good job of covering the myriad of ways God used the church to affect the spiritual, practical, and social life of the African Americans over time. And so I am super excited for that and for the show in that way.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things. You know, obviously, Threaded is the organization. Hold on, hey Pearl, Pearl's in the house. What's happening?
Hey,
Pearl?
What's up, Pearl? Hey, Pearl, you got Pearl and Brian. You got to tell us a favorite memory or tradition in a Black church experience. I got a couple that I'm gonna say later on, but you got to tell us something that you just, you know, when you think about Black church, what do you think about?
Yeah.
It brings a smile to your face.
You know, we were talking about just the excitement of being able to talk about the Black church during Black History Month. Threaded is a multi-ethnic, multicultural organization, and you'll see that as we maneuver through different things, conversations we had, and even the name for the podcast, Colored Commentary, is one of those sort of, it's one of those things that's got a little bit of intrigue in it, because what we're talking about is the mantra of the show is, colorful people, colorful conversations by colorful people about Christianity, culture, and race. And what we're talking about when we talk about colored is the lenses in which we need to look through. Everybody, when they come to church, when they come to, politics, when they come to life, they are looking through different cultural and even ethnic, and in America, this term racial lenses. And so if we're going to be able to see and understand God more, if we're able to see the world more, we need to make sure our lenses are multicolored. And so that's kind of what we call it, colored commentary. We want to be able to see through all kinds of things. So right now, we're sitting here, we're about to check out the Black church and see what that is. And that's an exciting piece, because I think the Black church is one of those churches that just, was created out of the issues of race in this country.
Right.
But it has done so much to really move the ball along the way for Christianity in this country, to create a country that would have a better representation of Christianity. So we're celebrating that. But, I think all the churches, whether it's the Asian church, the Latinx church, and the immigrant churches that are coming through, I think they have all benefited from the work of the Black church. So this is exciting to kind of think even multi-ethnically in this conversation going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And, I'm glad that you sort of explain what colored is, because some people get a little twisted on that. Like, I think when you think about colored, color does have a little baggage with the word, certainly in this conversation when you put Black people in it, and they might think that we're that this is sort of a Black only kind of organization, thinking about the church in a very sort of ethnocentric kind of way. When in reality, colored is the opposite. Like you said, it's meant to actually bridge it. Broaden it, making it to where everybody, it's about the full spectrum of colors, not just one particular quote unquote color, if you will, in the race conversation. Right. And a lot of people like, man, why Black church? Why white church? Why break them up? And if you walk into the conversation, Marcus, with a kind of segregationist thinking, then for you might be like, man, that's divisive speech. But when we look at the book of Ephesus, we book of Ephesians, we look at the book of Romans, we look at the book of Corinthians, we don't see church 1, church 2, church 3, church 4. We see what was God doing in the church of Ephesus? What was he doing in the church of Galatia, church of Corinth, church of Colossus, Church of Thessalonica, right? And those things are not segregationists. Those things are all one story that God is doing through these very individual social contexts. And so when we talk about the Black church, it's not the Black church as opposed to other things. It's the Black church alongside other things. It's like it's the piece to a larger puzzle that is the church as a whole, not holding one particular story higher than the other. And so we could talk about the American church, we could talk about the church expression in China, and that they're different. The social context means that God intersects his people in a different kind of way in those social contexts. The African American church in America has a very unique story that helps us understand God better because of the social context through which he used his people. And that's what this is. So don't allow this conversation to be divisive and to pit one against the other or make one greater or lesser than the other, but see it as one piece of a large puzzle or a large tapestry, as we might say, of the big unity, the big one church that follows one God. So sometimes I feel like we got to kind of put that out there because it's so divisive right now, and people come to the conversation really with their arms up, kind of waiting,
fists ready to go.
Yeah, kind of thinking, hey, we got to be careful. Oh my gosh, we got to be careful because they're going to make this something that it isn't, and we want to tell you exactly what we're trying to do instead of you having to make an assumption.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see how they're going to articulate the genesis of the Black church in this documentary. I mean, because we know. I mean, here's the question: always is, if racism hadn't been so pervasive in the roots of our society, American society, would there be a Black church at all? Right? Would there even need to be a documentary like that? Like if that racism hadn't taken over, if the settlers had come here and they had worked with the natives, and then if they, the Native Americans here, and if they had, decided that they needed some help from Africa to farm the cotton and the sugar and all those things, and everybody said, hey, let's work together. You just wonder what the church would look like, right? But that's not what happened. And so really the Black church is a reaction to a very unchristian way of looking at people, and it goes off on its own little space there. So I'll be interested to see. And there's lots of great things about it. I'm looking at Pearl's stuff. She's talking about some memories of being a Black church. She said, I remember being scared when I saw my Grammy get the Holy Spirit for the first time. Hey. That is a scary thing when you're a kid.
Yeah, if you don't know, especially you don't know
what's happening. You see particularly your grandma, I think it was mine too, just fell out, right? Like the ladies coming up with the white, outfits on,
with the white gloves on, and
ready to catch. It was a surreal experience. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Man. And all the different versions of that, growing up, like you just saw the multiple ways people, the people caught the Spirit in that way, man. It is a thing. If you're not used to it, you're like, wait a minute. Like a lot of my white brothers and sisters who have never experienced that, I think it would be something different. Like it's something for you to see it. I'm not saying that none of them have an experience. Some of them are doing it themselves, but
I'm looking. I'm interested. I'm looking at Brian texting. Brian, your photo makes me think that you are a lighter melanin brother, if you will. And you said that your dad preached and won many times back in the 80s. I guess, did you go with him? I guess with that, and what was your regular church like in comparison to the Black church that you went in? I'd love to just put something in the chat. I'd love to see what's going on, because that's interesting.
Yeah, I see that. I missed Easter sunrise service. Amen, Pearl. I see you on that. We used to have, Easter sunrise, you get that breakfast. There was sunrise service, but little young me, you had that breakfast, man. Like we had a church. I'm from Indiana, so we had a church in Indiana, and they were cooking early morning. They were in the kitchen. We had a kitchen down there and a fellowship hall downstairs, and we come in Easter morning. We had Easter sunrise service, and after service, sometimes before service, depending on what we're doing, you had that breakfast, boy, them grits, that bacon, that sausage, them hash browns. You don't even know, man. You don't even know. We did that for Easter, and then we used to have the watch night services for New Year's. And so
New
what would
Year's.
happen is, you would get there at 10 about, and you would have worship service up to midnight, and you would bring in the new year with prayer and worship.
Right.
You'd have a bunch of, that was usually like a big testimony service. And then after service was done, you head downstairs and you got that breakfast, boy. Them potatoes. Hey, they don't do that down here in Texas. I don't know why. Where is it?
No, they
Well,
do that.
unless they do. Maybe they do. I just don't know where they at. They need to send me some.
It's more traditional of that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of black churches that we got, at least around where we are right now, at least the ones who are out kind of maneuvering through the community development stuff that I'm connected to, they're kind of mixing in some of the different cultural aspects of white church into their space. And so some of that has not necessarily translated into the suburban black churches. But if you go, like the one that, my experience with the black church was back and forth. So, we grew up going to a black church, then we moved to the suburbs, and we were driving 45, 50 minutes to downtown Houston to go to the oldest black church in Houston called Antioch. And then after a while, we just got tired of the drive. My dad got frustrated, I think, with aspects of that particular church. And we were starting to get picked up by this white church in our area. And so we would kind of go back and forth between the black church and white church. And then obviously I had my grandparents who were close, and we'd go to their churches. So I kind of had this weird mix of black church, white church experience growing up. And so some of those things that you're talking about, those were the days that I would be in the black church for sure, would be like the Easters and the New Year's and the, kind of those big holidays to experience that, So some of them still, down south, at least where I grew up, would do that sort of, New Year's experience. And I know there's a couple of churches up here where we are that were doing it, but I haven't heard of them doing it lately. So I don't know what that is. So it
maybe it just doesn't, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't hit. Maybe we're just out of the pocket on it, because I do know my dad. My dad is a pastor of what would be considered a black church, and would watch night services a thing for them. But it's not but there's no breakfast afterwards yet. I mean, I don't think it's because he didn't want it, but the breakfast probably would be a thing. That probably would be a thing. I used to be predominantly. You moved to here. Baptists like to pass the plate. White or black? Hey, they do like to pass that plate. Let's get that. Both kind of plates. You know what I'm saying? They gonna pass all the plates. All the plates will be passed. Okay, everybody else is jumping in. You guys, I see a few other people in here. Go ahead and y'all say what's up. Introduce yourself.
What's up, say where you're from.
Yeah, say where you're from. That'd be cool. And then tell us something, a little memory you might have. If you grew up in a black church, remember you had with that, some tradition in a black church you love. Let's see, what's something else? Like the choir march in is a staple. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm talking about with the choir march in? Like you get that march in. The choir is doing, they in the robes and they coming in and they letting you know it's time to worship today. And they coming in with the thing again, man. I don't see a whole lot of it because choirs aren't a thing as much now.
Yeah, it's kind of it's actually making a renaissance.
I was about to say, I feel like it's coming back.
Yeah, it's not the big choirs, but there's choirs. But I remember, look, we did our first event back, 2015 or so. We did what we called community, COMEUNITY, and we wanted to march the choir in because we had a big, multi-ethnic choir, but the building was so big that we couldn't do it because we couldn't hear the choir. You know what I mean? Like in the churches I went to, like the way the church was built, it was such that when the choir came in, you didn't have to mic the choir, right? Like they just came in.
Yeah, they was just ready.
It was going.
Yeah,
they was ready. You could hear them as they came in. They came up the center. They came from the back. Yeah, it was a whole nother experience. Yeah.
Man, that was the big thing. Let's see. I think this is across the board, right? I don't know if this is a black church experience, but the donuts after Sunday school, we used to have to get them that donut life after Sunday school. And But again, I'm not sure that that's only Black church. So that might just be a Baptist tradition, because I grew up with Baptists.
Now hold up, because Brian's here in the chat saying that I would join a Black church if they welcomed white people. Most Black churches really don't want white members. That's a new experience that I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
You know, in the work that we do, one of the things we do is we encourage people to go to different types of churches that are out there. And I have never heard from any white person that's gone to a Black church that they were not welcome. In fact, it's the opposite that I've heard. I've heard that they felt more welcome in that church than they'd ever have felt in any other church. Now, what I would say is there's probably, you may be right in this current environment right now, that people are more leery and wary of white people coming to Black churches, especially after the Emmanuel AME Church incident in Charlotte or Charleston, and so I have never heard that experience, Brian. I've never had anybody else talk about that. So that may be.
Here's what I would say about it. Like, I feel like what he might be getting. So there's a, I would say that a lot of Black churches, when a white person does, if it's a predominantly Black church, right?
Yeah.
Then I feel like that. I feel like that church, when a white person joins, they are almost over fond. That's what I've seen. Like, you kind of like, you almost make it too big a deal. And sometimes that could feel like, that could feel a little overwhelming. But then I think, and then I don't want to speak for all Black churches, because I think churches sometimes in general can just be, sometimes some churches are just not welcoming, white, Black, or otherwise,
Yeah, that's true. It's not
but I think, but you kind of, after a while, you kind of get the feel of them trying to figure out, like, why are you here? Them trying to understand, like, what are you doing here? Do you really want to be here and around us, or what? And that's just I think that's part of the trauma that the Black church has experienced over the years, of not being quite sure what to think about white people who does join the Black church, if you will. But I've seen many where that's overcome over time once trust is built there. I would say that, Brian, you may have felt some of that just kind of distrust coming from them, that vibe you're talking about. Maybe that little bit of distrust that is a little warranted, perhaps, but I think for most part they get over it.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's the, when you talk about like multi-ethnic churches and how they're growing, right? Most of the time, multi-ethnic churches are created because people of color come to white spaces. It's very rare, if at all, that multi-ethnic churches are created because white people move into Black churches, right? It's just not the way it goes. And so there is this sense of, what are you doing here? What do you want? And there may also be this sense of, a lot of times when white folks come into a Black church, they start to want to, get into positions where they want to change things and make things happen in certain ways, potentially. And so there's this sense of, hey, this is our space. We're in the quote unquote your space the rest of our time, and this is kind of our space. And so we want it to kind of be how we want it to be. And so there's this fear that having more white members will change it. So again, I have never, Brian, that's experience that you're having is the first time I've really ever heard that. But I imagine if you were growing up in the 80s and going through it, may be like that. So
I've only heard it in the sense that they felt like it was too much attention paid to them, and therefore, what I mean, like they felt like they were overcompensating, and end up having the opposite effect. We're like, okay, I'm here, and
I think Angela hits something really good in here, where she talks about, and this is what I've seen, at least, as I've, been around Black people, is one of the things that I've always recognized is I try to make people feel as welcome as possible, because I know what it's like to kind of feel like the outsider and to not be in there, especially when I go in and visit a white church. You just feel this sense of, not necessarily that you're not wanted there, but you recognize that you are also coming into a space that seems to be a sacred space that for a particular, type of Christian. So, Yeah, so there's this sense of once you've been on the outside, once you've been discriminated against, you're less likely to do it. But at the same time, humans are humans, and there's probably lots of folks who would say that they didn't want white people at their Black church, right? This is partially why we have Black churches thriving too.
True, and yeah, Black church can be just as discriminatory. But I agree. I'm sorry that you had that experience, Brian, and I hope that doesn't discourage you from trying out other quote unquote Black churches. I think there's many out there who would welcome you, and so yeah. So I hope that is that's a better experience going forward for sure. So we got about 4 minutes left before the show begins on PBS. I want to make sure that everybody knows we won't be showing the show like on this screen that you're looking at on YouTube. The way this is going to work today is we're all going to watch it on however way we watch it. You can watch it through your TV set, your PBS channel, on your cable service or what have you. You can watch it through the PBS app, and there's a link for that inside the Facebook event, or you can just go to the pbs.org website and get that, or you can live stream it right off of the pbs.org website, and you can go there, you can look in the top right and you'll see where it says live stream. So those are going to be ways that you can check it out. What we're going to do is, it starts at 8, and so we're going to be watching it in our own ways, and then we're just going to periodically comment on what we see, and we want you guys to do that too. We may not be leading all the conversation. You guys can jump in and be like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing, or that's crazy, or whatever comment you may have, so that we can kind of sort of live react together with it. So that's kind of what we're doing. Want to make sure you guys know exactly what's happening and have all that you need to do it. What's up, Kathy? I saw Andy in the house. What's up, Andy and Kathy? Brian, I spent the majority of my life in Black and brown areas, so trust me, not trying to colonize. Oh yeah, no, Brian, I know that. We know that you're not trying to do that. We just wanted to articulate some of the feelings others may have when they saw you. They don't know what you've done. But that's one of the reasons I think, like, once trust is gained, then it's all good. You know what I mean? And that's just consistency and showing up, and I think it'd be fine. All right, Marcus.
Yo,
time, man. PBS.org. Make sure you guys go there if you're not looking at it on your TV screens. And let's see, I'm gonna jump over there real quick and make sure that I'm looking at it myself.
Getting it ready. Getting it ready.
I wonder if there's going to be commercials in the show, or is it going to be like one whole thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never done a PBS documentary live. I've always gone back and looked at them. So
right.
Yeah. If you guys, thank you for joining. Those of you who are joining, say what's up. Tell us who you are, where you're from. Just type it in. We love to do it. If you haven't subscribed to the Threaded channel, do so. This is our very first YouTube event. And we just started a YouTube channel last week. And so we're looking to get some subscribers and to get a group of people who will benefit from a lot of resource and content that we have for you. So make sure that you do that. So we should, you can mute us if you want to. We won't do a whole lot of talking through the show. But you can
get some shots. What's up, Kathy? What's up, Andy? Good to see you guys here. Rev Rains, Jason Rains, what's up, boo? Good to see you. It's gonna be fun. Looking forward to it. As we go along, like throw like, if you see something that you like, type it in, like, hey man, I really like when they said this, right? You know what I mean? Or this is new. I didn't know about this. Let's have some good conversation in here just as we go. And like we said, we'll try to keep the talking down. Maybe if some ahas hit me and Antwuan will do that, but we want to be able to kind of just watch it together. So Kevin, how you doing? Kevin Fuller, good to see you. Good to have you here.
Look like it's about to start.
Oh, it's getting there.
The Black Church.
Oh, followed by the Josephine Baker, the story. Okay.
Oh man, my mom loved that show. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, I might start whispering.
Okay. It's the Potter's House. Shout out to Dallas. Oh, there he is. It's Black Jesus. Better get it, Aretha.
Let's go, Aretha. Let's go.
Oh, let's go. Hey Diane. Hey Diane, we're just watching the show. We're not gonna talk too much through it. So glad you're here. Oh, that's true.
Mm. Yeah, Angela. I think sexism is gonna get addressed.
Okay. Well, you've been in a lot of these things, Henry. Let's see what you got on this one. Let's see. I told you they were gonna have some commercials. They're gonna try to get them going.
All right, so when they get into the main piece of it, y'all, we're gonna try to whisper because we don't want to talk over it. But when they have these commercials like this, we can
kind of jump in.
Yeah.
Hey, Linda, how are you? Welcome. Glad you're here. Andy Gray in the house. We got a couple of Andys in the house.
Yeah. Linda, yeah. Johnson & Johnson in the house, though.
Oh, okay. Well, they, got to have a big part going. Okay, the Lilly Endowment, they've got some great grants here. If you are African-American organizations, they got some great stuff in there. PBS they put these things together.
The sexism, Black Lives Matter. Oh. Where's the social distancing? I want social distancing.
Social distancing. I know it. Hey, Taylor, good to see you. Glad you're here. Come on. There are a lot of white people in that church. Oh,
I know. I was just joking about the social distancing.
are those really? It's a bold statement. Oh,
What's up, Julie? How you doing?
welcome, Julie. Good to see you. We're just watching it together, Julie, so you'll hear us whisper a little bit throughout. Gospel is multi-ethnic. It doesn't just have one form.
I don't know about this adapted.
That's a good point. Right.
Right.
A cultural heritage that God was a part of.
Right. So are we, Brian. So are we.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Voodoo. Mm-hmm.
Mm. Hmm.
That's a good spot, Kathy. We'll have to figure it out.
Definitely. What's up, Ken?
So Ken.
What's up, Lisa?
They can't take care of that.
First African Baptist Church, huh?
On Sapelo Island. First, yeah. I think it's the First Baptist. It's not the first African American one, but
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Hey, church closed.
church closed. Oh, there he is. Kurt. Shout out to Fort Worth, Texas with Kurt Franklin.
He's able. Amen.
Kurt brought a lot of people into that gospel field.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Debbie. Glad you're here.
My man.
Look at him going.
Exactly.
Mm.
Andy, I wonder if that's a callback to what gets passed through the genes. What's up, Debbie? Thanks for joining us. Hey, had to use what we had to use. Adana.
Look at a malfunction 54. I like that. That's exactly right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Moses. That's the one. That's the story. They take that out of the Black Bibles that they gave back to these. That's the story out.
But you can't miss it even if you don't read him.
That's true.
Mm.
That's it right there. Man, people work so hard to try to keep these cats out of heaven.
This is, and it's about keeping
Keeping the slaves, man. Yeah.
it's the right message. It's just not the only part of the message.
Sure. Hey Matt, good to see you. Welcome to the show. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. Mm-hmm.
That tie, though, that tie is impeccable. Uh-oh.
Is that Jennifer Hudson? Yep.
That's one.
Antwuan, when I die, I want Jennifer Hudson to sing at my funeral, just so you know.
All right, I got you. That assume, yeah, I got you.
Ooh, the powers and the authorities of this dark world. Ooh, the devil. Mm. Mm-hmm. The white gaze.
Yeah, it's the bad theology that's divisive.
Yeah.
I'm not loving this in their own image thing.
I
though.
know. I didn't like that either.
Mm. Hmm.
Under the pot.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
Hiding the Bible so people can't read it. Mm.
Hmm. True that, Angela.
Mm-hmm. They become the mentee. They were mentored into that.
Just the effect of power.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to share this on Facebook if you want to. You should be able to share it straight up. If you haven't
This was the very
subscribed, consider
first.
subscribing as well.
It was the very first spiritual I sang. In fact, it was one of my audition pieces when I went to music school and college.
This one. In the morning, fairly well.
Well, she transitioned. Come on. in the morning, very well, very well. Yeah. Come on, tennis. Very well.
If only. Man, I need another one of them.
Me too. That was good.
There that one is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just sang it on ours too, Kathy. We're watching on the stream. Wow. They're calling responses to stuff right there. George Whitfield.
I wonder where they got these drawings.
Yeah, I keep thinking that whenever they put these together, they have some really good visuals and graphics. Kathy, we're past the camp meeting. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Hey, that's what I want y'all to answer. What's y'all's favorite spiritual?
favorite, yeah, favorite spiritual, favorite song from the Black Church.
Ooh, so many. So many good ones. My dad says pass me not. Heaven on earth. Precious Lord. Ah, tell him what you want. Jesus is on the main line. You gotta pick one, music and poetry.
Got to do it, music and poetry.
You want. Mm. Mm.
Don't you weep. Okay. Music and poetry. I like that. Mary, don't you weep. Martha,
Mm.
don't you moan.
Mm.
Hmm.
He said maybe. Methodism. It's true.
It seems to make sense that you'd be drawn to the one that says they're not going to enslave you. That
It's
would be
true.
helpful.
Feels right.
I love when Kathy, she knows what's coming. She's like, let's hold up on that Methodism for a second. Here it comes. And now the rest of the story. Mm. Richard Allen would get in trouble in some churches right now.
Still.
Oh, this guy. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there's the AMEs.
Here they come, Kevin.
Bethel. Hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, that sounds theological to me.
Yeah, it's a shame we got to go create spaces like that. That's on us.
Mm.
Yeah.
Agreed, Kathy. Mm. Sorry about that. Mm. Mm. Uppity, huh? Hmm.
Wow.
Mm. I know. It's one every 2 days, just about.
Hmm.
Hmm. It's interesting how the race conversation and the gender conversation intersect. She had a little Rolodex.
It's just she had 12 servers. She just kept looping them. That's how I do it anyway. Oh, Michael Eric Dyson. That dude.
Mm-hmm. Let's get out of here.
Making a way when there was no way. Playing the
Mm-hmm.
long game. not gonna be slaves anymore. That's right. Haiti.
Hmm.
Haiti.
Man, these drawings.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well,
Worldly Christianity.
well, is this Nat Turner? Yeah, it's Nat Turner. That would be nice, Ken, to see that. If you demand it now, you're gonna get in trouble. I love this drawing. He has it in all of the shows.
It's all economic. Hmm. Did you pause, Marcus?
Did I pause?
No, no, you good. Right.
That's what Christianity should be damaging. That system.
No,
Yes,
not,
good.
not to them. Then there's lots of loss associated with that.
True.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do now.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm. Whew. Lost by one vote on that.
I know.
It is.
It's an interesting concept. Pharaoh on both sides.
Yeah.
I want to try to get into what he
Dig into
means
that a
by
little
that.
bit.
Yeah. Hmm. Wow. Well, thanks everybody again for tuning in. We've been again trying to be relatively quiet throughout the
Yeah, I
show.
just kind of whispered through it and see what we find and can talk about. We got another hour to go through. Got some good stuff coming on the chat. Feel free to throw those things on the chat. Keep that stuff coming.
Yeah.
We're reading as you go along. Just glad you guys are jumping in. Pharaoh on both sides, possibly blacks selling out their people to the white men. Pharaoh.
Yeah,
Pharaoh
man. I mean, I love to.
sides.
I want you guys. Well, I'm definitely going to continue thinking about this Pharaoh on the both sides. That could be it. It could be what we're talking about there. Curious what
I feel
that
like I might
is.
have to kind of go back and
See where he is on that.
yeah, because it kind of came in such a way I don't know if I was expecting it, and then I heard it, and then I was lost in it for a minute and missed that second part.
I think he's worried about walking out of one form of oppression and going into another. Just
A
curious
king,
what the other oppression is that he's
yeah,
meaning.
some sort of authoritarian nature. It may go to the point of somebody was making earlier that even though black people left white churches, they moved into another system that has been co-opted in some places by black preachers to do the same type of oversight and slavery, if you will, just in a black church. That authoritarian sort of relation, because it's just humanity, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of where Malcolm X and all those, he talked about moving from one state to the next, and it's got to be your own.
And it's that idea of oppression. Oppression can be done by anybody. It's not unique. Oppression is not unique to white people.
Right.
And humanity, depending on how power intersects,
yeah.
All people can become that oppressive.
Right.
And so even in some aspects of the black church, we've seen it as an oppressive had oppressive forces in the midst of that. Even, particularly when you talk about sort of the way in which sexism kind of plays itself out in there as well. So from one pharaoh to another, if you will. Maybe that's part of what's going on with that.
Anyway, it's really interesting to see how, again, we kind of see how the church was this mecca for ideas. Mecca, I shouldn't probably say that, but this is
an Islamic background there.
Yeah, this sort of not just for just the spiritual, but the social and practical as well.
It's interesting to hear how they're seeing the Black church almost from a secular perspective. So I'm interested to continue to listen.
Yeah. And it's a good place to look for it too. Like the church is where you should find your liberty and your freedom.
Should. Right.
That's the story, even if you didn't know all the rest of this.
Yeah. Speaks to the resiliency of the Black community.
Nikki, it made reference to that. They didn't go deep into it.
Not all the way to Ethiopia, no. But
it made reference to it being prior to America, though.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it's 4 hours of content and they're still skipping over so much, even up to where we are now.
I know, right?
A nation within a nation. I see you, Nikki.
Nope. John Legend's in here.
John Legend was an executive producer.
Mm-hmm. We'll see him here in a minute.
Mm-hmm. This is that narrative we always talk about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There it is. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
This could be the stuff.
Are they about to
The
go in
fire.
on Abe? They
Well,
not gonna
we'll
do
see.
it. They're not gonna do it. Yeah, there it is. Right.
That's right.
He expected
People are gonna.
free and release, not
Yeah.
free and stay.
I think he was trying to send them Panama. This is the meeting.
Let's see what they do with this. I'm very curious. Mm-hmm. There it is. Watch night. Hey, we
we were just talking about that today.
Earlier today, we were just talking about why Lincoln was on the penny. Meanwhile, Andrew Jackson's on the 20. How about a switch? They know about that watch night service. That watch night breakfast. We were talking about that earlier. Okay, I don't want to sidetrack us. What music is this right now, though?
This feels like kind of a nouveau.
I like it though.
I know. Feels like something from that movie, from the Harriet Tubman movie.
It's so much more than that, though. See, I don't know.
I know. They keep
doing these words. New gospel, adapt, in my image.
Yeah.
It's one gospel. Realize and discover would be better words.
Right. Fuller. That's probably the better.
Yeah. It's not different.
Not different.
It's deeper. It's more,
revealing more of the gospel.
Yeah. It's distracting when they don't use those terms, I think.
Mm-hmm. It continues to create that segregation of theology and Black theology.
Yeah. It isn't. It's one God, one thing. I get it. I just don't. It's not helpful language, right, for where we are right now. Amen. In the army. That's my whole childhood. Last Sabbath we had church 3 times. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Every Sabbath. Of course. Yes. Nobody's Goliath. We're all David. That's the way we want to think anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Persecution is never discipline, just persecution.
It's funny. I can hear all this, but my live stream is stopped on this one picture.
Yeah, it happened to me earlier. You can refresh.
I might have to.
Fast forward to a little bit. Get to live.
Okay, I'll get it.
Hmm. Hmm. Power of music.
Yeah.
Definitely, Nikki. Some of these I don't
You're
know.
right, Adana. Adana, we just get in church all day,
You just
every
sit in
day,
the car,
every day.
go get some chicken and come back.
Come right back.
Hey, yeah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Let's do it. This is one of my favorites right here, too. Don't know about that glory, glory. Man, we got to bring them back, Marcus. We got
You
to
gonna
bring
bring
them
them
back.
back?
Just for a service or two. Don't even hide it. Just like go in with it.
I think there's lots of places that still doing it. They got to bring them back.
That's true.
Not quite like this. So.
Maybe I just need to go over to them. Then that's what that is.
The deal.
Friends and family weekend. A lot of trouble happened on those weekends.
First Sundays are done. Yeah.
Oh. Look.
You say articulate? He said articulate. Is he allowed to say that?
He did. He did. Uh, it's a good idea. I don't think we got it.
We got it for a short time. It came and stole it.
Few of us.
Took it back. Took it back.
It's just a history of social ramifications of spiritual acuity.
Spiritual what?
Acuity.
Mm. It's tall order, Julie.
Real talk, it shouldn't be as tall as it is. But
It wouldn't be if we had done what needed to happen right there, right at this moment. The civil war at the end.
yep.
If they had done the right thing right there with Reconstruction.
Hmm. Deacon. Hmm. Wow.
Oh, goodness.
I think independence is separate from segregation.
What do you mean?
We can talk about it later.
All right.
Right. Interesting that it goes the other way, though. And the black souls save the soul of America. Exactly, Nikki.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Donna, when is the most segregated time across the country, in your opinion?
It's the wrong question.
But it's the question that was asked. Still asked. Question is still asked.
There were different options then, though, so that had to be the question then, I guess.
Some would argue that has to be the question now. Respectable. It's an interesting word for that.
Charleston keeps coming up.
Yeah.
That's right. You wade into the storm. Yeah.
I see you, Donna. Okay. Agree.
I'm tripping right now. Charleston's when we had that recent shootout, right?
Yeah,
Was it
this is the
Charleston 9?
church. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same church. Emmanuel AME.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why my brain.
That's what was
blanking
so
up.
interesting about that particular massacre was that it happened at a church like this.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy the history on it.
Mm-hmm. And that church specifically.
Right.
They burned it down, they built it up, and now we're sitting here dealing with the Charleston 9 that were massacred in that church.
Crazy.
For a purpose of creating a race riot. That's what, the murderer
He was
saying.
trying to incite
Trying
it.
to start. Mm-hmm. That's right, music and poetry. That's exactly right. Was it John C. Calhoun? Is that right? I think that's what he said.
That's crazy. I feel you, Nikki. You already know. You already know I got some thoughts on it. So
Yeah.
it's that
You can
and
spill it
some
out
though.
that
We'll
time.
get to it. Hmm. Amen, Kathy.
Oh, she had a huge group here. Trump card.
There it is.
There it is. Hey, I don't care what you have to say. That's what God told me to do. Good for her. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. There it comes.
Mm. There's thoughts on that.
Let's go, Adana. I hear you.
Proving your worth. Right. Still is. Church music.
Yeah, that's why we don't have no hymns now. Some of the churches. Certainly the churches we go to. Sweet child.
Oh, she got all that break.
I mean, I'm about the piano too, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on with these keys players?
That's what I'm talking about. You go to the Black Church, you're gonna find some. We gonna find
players. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No.
King's English to the Queen's taste. I hadn't heard that one.
The subconscious need to validate, though,
for an
entire generation.
Inferiority complex.
Yeah, they may not even realize they were doing that.
No, we still do it.
Still doing it, yeah. The women. There's your intersectionality right there.
Yeah.
Can't go with you there on Rev. I hear you.
Well, we have to keep asking for rights.
It does make sense that it would be that, because if it's a Christian nation, quote unquote, then the appeal of Christian ethics should be the driver for change.
Which is the methodology that constantly went through these civil rights. It changes throughout the history of this conversation. Should have worked.
Which is why
and it did at times.
Yeah. So the minister does have a role in the social space.
Mm-hmm. But you were appealing to Christian organizations like the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, they consider themselves Christian organizations.
Right. This is the Speaking of, yeah, Lisa, it's an interesting seesaw battle with sexism in the Black African American community. In this case, you're probably right, though.
Yeah, I think if you go through the civil rights movement, though, you're going to find the opposite of that is true. I think that's one of the things that people are finding out today is that women did not get the appropriate role that they needed to have in that particular conversation. Diggitude, you must be a little ahead of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
It's a widow's mite right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kathy, I like that cohesion. Mm. Marcus, where are you at on the show, real quick? What tell me where you just heard.
So I was reading the deal. Talk about black theology.
Okay. I feel like I got ahead of y'all a little bit. Let me know
Jesus
when.
of this white blonde-haired guy.
Okay. Are they talking about looking like God?
Talk about black Jesus.
Got you. Mm. Whew. That's scary a little bit to me, though. Some of
I
that.
think that's part of how we got to this mess, is that the Western white church was trying to make Jesus in their image, instead of locking into the theological understanding of Jesus as this Jewish man, and the time frame he was in.
Just to make sure, we're in women's era right now. Just make sure I'm with everybody.
Yeah, that's where I am right now.
Okay, cool. All right. That is Malcolm X. He did say that.
Malcolm X. Uh-huh.
Not Deaconess. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was mentioning that, Lisa. See, the disease of power
Yeah.
affected even the black church.
Mm-hmm.
Misuse of power. Mm-hmm. Mm.
I do want this soundtrack. I
No, they just
I want it
so
bad.
much. I think it's so interesting that to talk about the Black story is to intersect the female, the sex or the gender story. It's almost like it's very difficult to talk about one in any comprehensive way without dealing with the other in some way. We all know we all know what we listen to on Spotify tonight.
I hope they bring a soundtrack out. You know, some of these, I don't know if they have one.
They don't even do it. Yeah,
I don't know. So that's okay.
mm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
They got to put it out.
It's a good book to read. The Souls of Black Folk. Check that out. He's got some good essays in there that speak to this. W.E.B. Du Bois.
I would say Du Bois is controversial in some of his viewpoints, but everybody, right? What's up, Charlotte? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, come on in, Charlotte.
He's all right.
He's feeling
Ecstatic,
it.
ecstatic worship. Yeah, I need to reread it myself. It's been a minute. I haven't read it all the way through. I read pieces of it.
Yeah, I think I read it maybe 10 years ago. No, 7 years ago. Ooh, John Legend coming in.
So many Black musicians. Uh-oh. Charles Mason. What y'all know about Charles Mason? Started. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's the Kojic.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus lifted me.
I like that. Fire shut up in my bones. There you go, Nikki. I see.
The frenzy. Hey, that might be the word right there for a minute. The frenzy. I think we can do something with that. Somebody can do something with that from a marketing point of view.
Oh, West Angeles Cathedral.
Expression, yeah. It's the only place you could do it.
And it's amazing to see when you go back to Africa how
similar
similar African worship is in African American after 400 years of separation. That frenzy, it's
still there.
It's wild. Oh man, it's wild. They just open the door and people run in and start going. The frenzy started going. It's dirt floors, and so the dust is just kicking up in the air.
Just going up.
Oh man, my sinuses is killer.
Mm.
You could hear these ladies. Some of these been singing a while.
You know. Yeah. The nostalgia.
Oh, here's the question.
Yeah. My man said simple.
It's black people. Mm. That's a good question.
Nope. Mm. Had some good days.
I say,
thank you, Lord. I won't complain.
I won't complain.
And those lyrics had life written in them. It's the intersection of God and life sitting in the middle of these lyrics.
The lyrics came out of the life experience.
Right.
It was the only way that you could kind of get it out, right?
Yeah. And you meet God in the middle in the process. And it's such a meaningful time.
Music and poetry, I'm with you. I really am. Like they need to. I almost want to hear the soundtrack more than I want to hear the next part too.
John Legend singing "I Won't Complain."
Although I will say, I saw John Legend. He came back and did a gospel thing. I think that pop music, it kind of did something to his voice. He's not quite in that gospel mode.
No, yeah, he's a different voice anyway.
Yeah, nah.
You don't need a whole album. Just need one or two songs from John Legend.
No, he's got plenty.
Is that it?
That's it, man. For part one here. This is our story. This is my story.
Hey, this is my favorite song right here. Yeah, they
Every
asked
song
what
they mentioned. You said
no. I said song. I liked a lot of them, but my favorite is "This Is My Story." This is my song all day long.
Yes. This is my story.
Yeah, I wish I could sing it better than I can.
This is my song.
That's a great part one. Okay, so real quick before we let you guys go, love to hear kind of what you guys kind of thought a little bit. Just some of your general thoughts. If you don't have to go into anything huge, but just some of the key things that you may have got out of that. But that was pretty good. I enjoyed much of it. In the interest of unity, I maybe I'm too concerned with tone and words, but I was concerned a little bit with some of the verbiage.
I think you're thinking about it in a very relevant context of even the idea of segregation and the way in which that conversation of segregation has evolved. I think even in the last 10 years, where people were like, hey, you don't want this 11 o'clock on Sunday to be the most segregated hour, but as we've been moving into the last couple of years, I think there's a sense of now we need our own space again. So it becomes less about being segregated. It's more about separated, which
It's
separation
more about
is a choice,
it's
you
more
know?
about independence. Like I'll start to think about like my daughter when she gets old enough, you know what I'm saying? Like she's gonna leave the house. And I'm not saying that she's segregating herself from the house. I'm saying that
Right.
she's independent. And I have freedom to go visit her, be part of her life as is necessary, but doesn't mean that we're segregated. You know, she's just no longer dependent upon me in the ways that she was. In some ways, I feel like the Black church needed a period of independence, right? And it may have looked like segregation on the outside. And I think now we're at a place where we can begin to take that independence and understand what it looks like to be united and work together and coexist in a better way. But I think there was a moment where the Black church, if you will, needed a period of independence that we're calling segregation. You know, it's an early thought for me right now, but that's kind of what I was thinking through, you know, with the difference between those. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's segregated, you know. But Nikki mentioned segregated is an option, and rather not an option, and independence is a choice, and that plays a lot of role in it too.
Yeah. Again, I go back to if racism had not been a thing, there would have been no need for
No need
a sense of
for
independence or
independence
segregation.
anyway.
So
Yeah,
so the bifurcation, if you will, in this particular idea of the church of black and white is birthed out of sinful behavior. It's not birthed out of people following after God and going after all tribes, tongues, and nations, worshiping
true,
together and getting a
exactly.
model of the
Yeah.
tapestry and the image of God in the world. It was birthed out of sin. So I understand. I think from a safety standpoint and sort of in the midst of the social environment that we're in, I think there's places that need to have some sanctuaries away from all the turmoil and the racism and the discrimination that's happening. Um,
At least
yeah,
because there's therapy there. There's a therapeutic thing there. Like there's healing that happens there. But then at some point the healing is done
you've
and
got to get
and you
back
get
in.
back into the flow, you know? And that's kind of what I'm seeing. Again, I don't know if it's worth going a whole lot deep into segregation independent, but there
I
probably
think it's
needed
a
to be
question though.
yeah, like it needed to be a separation for the health of the Black man and woman, for the Black society to know that they could be independent and separate and understand their own real sense of potentiality, and for their sense of just understanding who they are, and what a society with Black people kind of being there for each other and working for each other looks like. And then you unfold that healed environment into the whole. We should be at that point now. We should be in
Should
history
be.
where the therapy is over, and we should be able to get into a more unity based deal. But it turns out that we are revisiting some of the therapy. The therapy is not quite yet complete, perhaps, and maybe
Yeah.
that's why there's more
Well, and
independent Blackness, if you will, than segregation.
well, I think part of the idea and the recognition and what I think is helpful in this conversation is I think it can be very easy for us to sort of idolize, the black church in the separation of the white church. But there's lots of little things that the therapy that the existence of the black church, there was still sin there. But I do think that the black church, what it was able to do is,
Absolutely.
in some ways, it reset. I don't know if that's the right word, but it felt like almost like a reset of the church to the actual fullness of what God was dealing with. Again, we have this conversation right now of even gospel versus social gospel, but those are really in the black church. Those really go together. There's a sense of loving your neighbor as yourself while you love God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind, with all your strength. And I think the black church, when it exited the white church and found its independence, if you will, it was
Yeah.
able to experience both of those things, loving God and loving your neighbor.
Yeah.
Whereas in the white church, it wasn't, the loving your neighbor part wasn't really like being practiced. So there was a kind of reset. But even when it went over to its own thing, right, it still found ways to take on the issues of power that I think had been really prevalent in the Western white church, moving all the way from Jesus through Constantine and into Germany and Europe and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely.
it still has it. So I think both need each other to
Yeah.
get the full understanding of who God is and bring their narrative to the picture. And again, everything in between. Um, I think we need each other so that we don't go off into identity aspects of where one
ethnocentrism and
ethnocentrism becomes kind of the dish of the day. So that's the thing.
Let me look at some of these comments here before I know somebody probably ready to bounce. Nikki, that was a great question. I mean, really, would there be a Black community if it wasn't for the Black church? I think the answer is no, right? I mean, I think it's clear the Black community, the Black church was like pivotal for the health and sustaining of the Black church. I believe that to be true 100% in all aspects, and it just kind of lays it out. Women's roles were again, the intersection between women and the story of women and the story of Black church. Again, we're not doing it exhaustively with women, but the interweaving, like while talking about the history of the Black church, you cannot escape the history of women in the church. And I think they're probably going to get more into that next time, at least
look, you're talking about people getting their rights, right? So the Black church is kind of this progenitor for, equal rights, if you will. And so, you're going to find everybody kind of getting on that train to move into that space. And again, this is where, the conversation intersectionality, as you mentioned, comes in. And it's interesting to see how that works. So, I'm interested. I want to think about that question that Nikki had, the Black community. I don't know. Like, I still think that there was this community of people who had to work together to get things done that didn't necessarily have to have the church to make that happen. I mean, if you think about, coming over from Africa and all those different places from all those different countries in Africa and having to now be in a country, and they had to work together. They had to be thrown in together, broken up from their families. They had to learn each other's language in some ways. They had to learn English, but they weren't allowed to learn how to read and write. So this group of people did some really amazing things in that they created in some ways their own language to kind of maneuver through. And language in and of itself knits a community together in civilization as well as religion. So I think we still would have had sort of this Black cultural identity. I just don't know if it would have had. I would have been interested to see where its culture and its art would have come through, right? Without the church.
I disagree. I think we don't do different sides on that, because I think the Black church has opened up so much. It was one of the few things allowable to Black people, and it turned out to be the thing that was the spark for so much political change, social change, individual identity, dignity, expression, confidence. It makes me wonder, where would those things have come from? And maybe not. Maybe what you're saying is they would have come in another way. Yeah. But it seemed like the Black church was a kind of hub for the dignity of the Black person in that's the social question. Manifestations.
Like now, absent of the Black church, you have a portion of the Black community who are finding themselves in community with each other, sans the Black church. So you'll find it. I'm not saying it's the right way, and that's kind of what we're seeing, I think, today in our society, is that you've got people who are creating these other sort of groupings, and they're doing things together as this group, but they don't have. I'll use kind of what Dr. King kind of said. They don't have sort of the boundaries of Christianity in the midst of that, to kind of, mold it in such a way that it goes after the things that are for, I think will draw us into closer to what God would have for us, as opposed to what we ourselves would want as a group. So I think we would have it. I'm not saying it would be the same, or it would even be great.
True. I think you knew what quality of it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I hear you. Because even the stuff we see now is so reflexive off of the Black church experience. It bounces off of it. Either it's a critique of it, and so it changes. But I hear you. It's hard to say.
Disagreeing. I'm just trying to.
I know.
Figure it out.
Different points of view. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Kenton he said, where else? What else besides the church though would offer the story of liberation? I think the church offers an accurate story of liberation, but I think peoples have always thought of most peoples don't want to be enslaved. They always want to be liberated. I think the church, it gives it a better story of liberation.
In the same way go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was finishing my thought with
Well, I was
So
gonna
go
say
ahead.
okay, but in the same way that the God the Bible was used to mis um mistake it to say it lightly, to mistake the value of the black person, that same Bible was the source of realization for the black person to say, wait a minute, I am not what they say that I am. You know, um, you know, the biblical story is one, you know what I'm saying, that kind of helps them realize I should fight for myself, using the very thing that they use. But it would it might have been multiple movements. What's beautiful to me about the black church is that it was, again, became this kind of hub. It's beautiful and dangerous to me, by the way, because like they were talking about, we don't believe there's not a separation of church and state in the black church. I would say that there is. I would just say that there is a definitive outpouring of practical and social ramifications to the black church sanctification story than it seemed to be for our white counterparts, or brothers and sisters, if you will. So it's an interesting question, and one that we can ruminate on, because it's an hypothetical on some level. But
And I think you got, again, you've got Nation of Islam, right? Another sort of all black community. You've got when you get into the civil rights movement, you've got SNCC, which is kind of pushing away from some of that stuff.
yeah,
Black Panthers, right? Like
yeah,
I think people create community, and I'm not saying that they should, but I'm just saying, like,
it
what I'm saying is
happens.
I think
Yeah,
what I'm saying is the church has an opportunity in every society that they're in to point communities towards things that are about human flourishing and community flourishing, as opposed to just I'm gonna get mine and get it done, or about it's just about me and my group. I think what the community, the church can offer and has historically offered, Black church, and even where white churches should be as well, and have at times, is it offers an alternative to sort of the individualism or the tribalism that's there, and
yeah,
it creates this recognition of, again, the Revelation 7:9, that the the vision that we are given is not of a heaven in which there is a place in which Black churches do their thing and Asian churches do their thing and Latino churches do their thing, but it's a place in which we are all in the throne room of God there. And so, and it's almost like your proximity to God. In your proximity to God, you are now have to be proximate to His people, all of His people. And if you don't like that, the way you get away from that is you walk away from God to go make
yeah,
your own little church. And I think
yeah,
that's what we've done in America is we've said, hey, instead of being in the throne room of God with all my brothers and sisters, we're going to actually walk away from God so that we can create our own little church over here.
right,
And I think that's been a detriment to us in our ministry in the church.
yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. Yeah, well, man, it was a good part one. I mean, we could talk a long time. If you
Yeah.
guys, a couple a couple things real quick to tell you guys about, I'm sure that Marcus will get in too, but we're host of a podcast called Colored Commentary, where we have conversations like this all the time between ourselves and also with guests. And so if you have never heard of Colored Commentary, the podcast, then you can look that up if you do podcasts, or you can look it up on our website. We have a website, coloredcommentary.com, and you can check out much of our conversation there. We would love to continue to have conversations like this. We're going to be back tomorrow, but if you want to have other conversations, or listen to other conversations, then that's a great way to go. So coloredcommentary.com. Colored there is not black people necessarily. It is about recognizing the full spectrum of colorful stories and cultures that bring to bear on the full one picture of God's church. And so that is what that is. Marcus, you can tell them about one other thing we got going on.
That's right, man. We've got well, there's two. I think one is, look, if you like, getting together with other people who are passionate about seeing the church be the motivating factor of change in the world. During this month, we're doing 28 days of racial lament and prayer at 8 o'clock Central Time. You can go to wearethreaded.org/prayer and find the number. Join us. Just come in and we pray together for about 20 minutes. We do a story of lament where we read stories from history about racial injustice. And we lament that, we see it, and then we pray through lament, confession, and forgiveness, and also repentance. So, man, check that out. Come and be with us 8:00 each morning. It's a beautiful time of prayer with brothers and sisters who are desperate to see God do something amazing in our land.
Great way to start the morning.
Absolutely. And then if you have not heard about the conference, man, you've got to check it out. March 1st through the 20th. It's a virtual conference, so you can be like you are right now. We're going to have speakers on Zoom and video like this who are going to be giving us all kinds of really amazing instruction on what race looks like, and really help us to know where we are and where we're supposed to be going. So if you have those questions about what does that look like, how does the church play a part, man, this is a great conference for you. So you can go, you see it in there, wearethreaded.org/conference. Sign up today, and there's going to be 12 sessions with amazing speakers. So you want to check that out as well. So come check us out at prayer in the morning.
Super excited about that. Some of you guys some of you may have heard of some of these speakers, but if you haven't heard of them, they have some amazing content. Soon Chin Rob, Brian Laritz, Mark Charles, Daryl Bach, Mark Knoll, Letitia Wheeler. We're going to be talking about biracial, what it looks like to be biracial and be a bridge builder in the context of that. Letitia's going to be talking about that. We're talking about a biblical primer to social justice. How do we use the Bible to set the stage for how we look at social justice, not respond to it, but set the stage for it? How do we deal with contentious conversations? It's going to be in there.
How do we have those conversations?
Yeah,
go talk about race, politics, and
I'll say history and politics,
right? History of that.
There's a one, God, race, and politics. Mark Knoll is one of the premier national researchers for political history, and he's going to come and share with us how that works. And so it's going to be fantastic. I think there's a lot to learn there.
Well, I'm excited to have everybody. I know we're at that 10, 12, 10, 11 time. We'll be back here again, right? Tomorrow, have some more discussion. And we'll be jumping in early too. I think we were here at 7:30?
So we'll be here at 7:30.
So we'll be here again.
Yep.
And we can start to, we can keep chopping it up about maybe some things that you thought of over the course of the night. So come and join us again. This thing will start at 8, same time. We'll be doing streaming, but we'll be on this page at 7:30, so we can kind of talk a few things. So we're glad you guys came out and checked it out. And like we said, check out some of those links. If you want to, again, join us in the morning for prayer. It's going to be an amazing time. I'd love to have you there. What else do we need to do to get these guys?
I think that's it. Sorry, it looks like there was a syntax error for colored commentary, not colored community, coloredcommentary.com. So that was
autocorrect.
No, colored commentary, just like this, colored commentary. Man, thank you guys so much for joining. This is our first event. You guys helped make it a success. And for chatting and sticking with it through the whole show. So we are so grateful and thankful for you for coming through. Feel free to share this next time, and maybe if this keeps working, we can grab some other documentaries and watch this. Watch a bunch of things together. Who knows how that might work? But no, Angela, the conference is not free. The conference costs $60 to go to attend. It's a virtual conference. It's 12 sessions over 20 days. That you can attend live and get Q&A with the speakers, and then once it's over, you will have access to all 12 sessions on record that you will be able to go back and look at any time that you like. So yes, the conference is $60. If you get a group, though, we may be able to work something out.
Help you out there. And we're grateful because we're an organization that's trying to continue to build content and do things like that. And man, to get them some of these speakers, $60 is a steal. It's definitely a steal.
No doubt. The prayer is Central Time, Donna. So that's
Central,
8 a.m. Central Time.
So what, 9 a.m. for Eastern time?
So yeah. So you guys can jump in on that. Get the prayer. Get in on the prayer. Again, it's a beautiful time. Make sure you come in. Anyway, that's all. That's enough about promoting, I guess. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
That is true. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. You guys have a good rest of the night. We'll talk to you then.
Bye, guys.
All right.